Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday review time and it is back-to-back victories for the boys in blue after Tuesday's last gasp victory at Bloomfield Road by 3 goals to 2 to see off Blackpool. We came from behind for the second time in less than a week to see off fellow playoff hopefuls Doncaster Rovers by 2 goals to 1 at the Priestfield on a very wet and windy Saturday in Kent. Certainly not a game for the purists, certainly a case of getting the job done, getting 3 points any which way. So in that sense, a really good performance. Not pretty by any means, not by any stretch of the imagination. And Paul Rayner talks in Monday's Medway Messenger and says it wasn't a vintage performance, it was a gritty performance. We had to grind it out to a certain extent, and credit to Doncaster. I thought they played some great stuff even with 10 men. And yes, that is correct. They had to play for pretty much an hour or so with man light because of the sending off of Fajire Onekabire. Seen plenty of stuff from Doncaster fans on social media since Saturday afternoon claiming that it was soft and Steve Evans is this and that and shouldn't be anywhere near the game and Okenabire's done nothing wrong. Well, it's clearly not true because he swings an elbow into the face of Barry Fuller, not 3 yards from the fourth official. So unless the fourth official had his eyes closed, he was always going to get a red card. Paul Rayner speaks and says only he knows if he's done it deliberately. They can only go on what they've seen. And from what they've seen, what the referee, the fourth official saw, what we saw in the ground, aside from these Doncaster fans, it's a blatant red card. He got away with one earlier in the piece. He swung an arm and Max Amar had to get treatment and he got away with that one. So for me, it's stupidity from the Doncaster front man, and he got his punishment, rightly so. And it helped us out massively because up until that point, I thought we'd been pretty average. I thought Doncaster had the better of the ball without really creating anything clear cut. They scored a good goal. Ben Sheaf, really good finish. Feel a bit for Max Amar. It looks like the ball gets played into Sheaf's feet from Ben Whiteman, I think it is, from a set play, and it looks like he's trying to bring it under control with the inside of his left foot, and it sort of hits him on the heel and sends Max Amar the wrong way. But from there, Sheaf gets his head up and bends a delicious finish into the far corner past Jack Bonham, and it does take something pretty special to beat our boys defensively at the moment. It was a really good goal, his first in senior football, and at that point we were up against it. We were under the cosh. We couldn't get the ball for 10 minutes after that. But we know with this team that they'll dig in, they'll work hard, they'll keep believing that they're in the game, and they'll somehow stay in it even if they're not playing too well. The red card that we've already spoken about made a huge difference. And I said to Boz at the time, if we can get into half-time now at 1-0 down, we've got a great chance shooting towards the Rainham end in the second period with conditions slightly in our favour. The added bonus was own goal number 1 from Cameron John. The ball played in from Tommy O'Connor on a corner. And we're still not sure what's really happened. I've looked at the replays a few times, didn't know what had happened live. Whether it's hit the keeper, the post, the defender, a combination of all three. The main thing is it ended up in the back of the Doncaster net and we got in at half-time level. Steve Evans spoke of getting into him a little bit, saying, you know, you've not been at it, but don't panic. We know we've got good players and we can get back into the fixture. And I thought aside from them hitting the post early on in the second period, we bossed proceedings and thoroughly deserved our win in the end. I think Jordan Roberts on another day, who I thought was really poor first half, and I'll talk a bit more about that when we get to the match ratings of ourselves and Luke Cordell, who writes for the Medway Messenger, but he could have had hat-trick second half. I think he's at least 2, sorry, maybe not hat-trick. He's hit the side netting with 1 after the keeper drops across. I think if he goes down at the point of contact from their keeper, he gets a penalty. But he tries to be honest and he clips an effort into the side netting from about 4 yards. Later on in the piece, he hits the post, outside of the post with the keeper and defender on the line. And yeah, just after a really odd first half, I thought he was pretty average first half. I thought he spent a lot of time the ball bypassing him. If he dropped deep, we went long. If he went long, we played it into feet. And I didn't think he helped Thomas O'Connor in the sense that he wasn't dropping in like a number 10 in the sense that plays there all the time like an Ollie Lee or a Bradley Datt used to do to help his midfield, which meant then that Tommy O'Connor had to go and press higher up the pitch, and if they passed through us, which they were capable of doing with Whiteman and Sheaf in the middle of the park, then it suddenly left us vulnerable defensively because there was no protection. But he seemed to sort himself out second period, and I think maybe the extra space benefited him and he was really good. But another player was Matty Willock. He came off the bench for Stuart O'Keefe, who got a good hour or so, and Matty played a really big part in the winner. Drove through midfield, got his head up and played it to the left for Jordan Roberts, who drifted out wide, and his cross was really good. You can't say anything else other than that. And Cameron John, bless him, who had an afternoon to forget. He did get cautioned as well. There was a couple of times where he was sailing close to the wind after that, but for the second time, he put the ball through his own net, nutmegged his own keeper for good measure. And after that, aside from, I think, a Ben Whiteman free kick at the end and a half chance for Devonte Cole, we managed it pretty well, and we saw the game out pretty comfortably to claim another 3 points. Now up into the top 10, which is great. But yeah, Matty Willett, really, really good. Great to see. We are starting to get rewarded with performances from him now. The next step will be starting more games more regularly and getting more minutes per game. But we have to bear with him because we know he's missed a lot of football. In terms of Luke Cordell in the paper though, final paragraph of his match report, which we always like to talk about. And Luke says, Gillingham could reach 49 points at Southend on Tuesday, one off that magic 50. But that's not magic anymore. Expectations and ambitions have been set to another level. They have. We are still looking at the playoffs. For me, it's still a possibility rather than a probability. But it's great just to be talking about it. Haven't looked over our shoulder once all season, have we? Not even sure what the gap is to the bottom three because I've got no interest in it. And that's testament to the players, testament to the staff, testament to Steve Evans, Paul Rayner, Simon Royce, the fitness coach, the conditioning coach, the physios. We have a tiny squad full of quality, and I said that last week, but everyone's pulling in the same direction. We really are, to coin the hashtag, in this together. Steve Evans has spoke highly of the crowd again, especially second half on Saturday afternoon, and you always fancy us if we're in the game shooting towards that Raynham end, and so it proved once again. 8 unbeaten in ME7 now, which is brilliant, and 7 more home games to go, and you'd fancy us in pretty much all of them. But one player who did particularly impress again and continues to just get better and better is this lad coming up on your screen now. That is Jack Tucker. He is one of our own. That song rang round the Raynham end and the Priestfield in general throughout Saturday afternoon's game. And in a match where conditions looked to be particularly tricky with swirling winds and blowing rain, and I think at one point me and Boz looked up second half and the rain looked to be going upwards, such was the strength of the gale force winds blowing across the Priestfield Stadium. But young Jack just remained composed throughout, pretty much won every single header, didn't get beaten on the floor, and in possession he was really good. And I've just had a look at SofaScore stats before coming on, and 90 minutes played, he made 6 clearances, 3 blocks, 6 interceptions, 2 successful tackles. He won 4 ground duels and 4 headed duels, completed 24 passes from centre-back. Comfortably man of the match for us. Got the sponsors man of the match in the ground as well, and generally just looked $1 million. And if he continues to play at this level, these types of displays and levels of performance, I said to Boz in the ground on Saturday, I fear for the fact that we probably won't see him beyond the summer. Boz wasn't so sure, said that he thinks we might get another season out of him, but I just think if he continues to play at this level, there's going to be so much interest that I think someone will come in and bid a sufficient amount of money for us to seriously have to think, yeah, we're going to have to take it and let him move on. The only thing we don't want is him to go to a side and just sit on a bench or in someone's under-23 squad and not get games and not progress as he rightly deserves to. But that's for another day. That's for something to worry about later on. At the moment, he speaks and says that he's 100% focused on us, and he speaks in the Medway Messenger and says, I'm signed here and my full interest is with Gillingham Football Club. I have a great team around me which I love being part of. I will keep playing my football here, doing what I do, trying to stay in the team, enjoying my football and see where it takes us. I've had the faith put in me by the manager and the assistant, Paul Rayner, which is what you need as a youngster. Correct. There was plenty of people that said at the start of the season Steve Evans wouldn't trust youth. Well, I think Jack Tummer's a prime example of the fact that if you are good enough, you're old enough, and he's been absolutely phenomenal for me. I think you can count the amount of bad games he's had on a couple of fingers, not even a whole hand. And looking at him as a season whole, he's played 30 times now in all competitions. We won 12 of them games, so it's about 45%. Kept 12 clean sheets as well. Scored his first senior goal against Tottenham under-23s in the Leasings.com trophy, and pretty sure he's nailed on for Young Player of the Year already, isn't he? And he's probably in contention for the main award as well, unless he has a significant drop-off in form, but I just can't see it at the moment. I think he's too good a player for that to happen. I think he's too level-headed a lad for that to happen. You listen to him in interviews after games, and the way he talks and carries himself belies his youthful years. He's only 20 years old, we have to remember that still, and I think Steve Evans won't allow him to drop off. He's mentioned a couple of times, says if he loses focus, then his performances will suffer and he'll come out of the team, but I just don't see any chance of that happening. So, to coin one of my favourite phrases regarding Jack Tucker and his form, long may it continue, because he's been an absolute joy to watch all season long. And hopefully, come Tuesday night, he'll put in another stellar performance, because we do have a game. It's an away fixture. It's the rearranged game from back in January when we had West Ham in the Cup, and we travel around the corner to Essex to take on this lot. Out of sorts, hapless, luckless, disorganised, in free fall, relegated. They're probably all words that you could attach to Southend United this season. I'm not sure what's gone on there, but it's gone catastrophically wrong for the men from Roots Hall, and they're cut adrift at the bottom, aren't they? They're only 5 points above Bolton, and Bolton started with -12 this season. They've only won 3 games in the league all season. They've lost 21 of their 31. They've conceded a staggering 78 games in those 31 games. That's at 2.5 a game, which is absolutely frightening. The squad's been shorn of all sorts of quality. I think the final one to leave was Simon Cox, departed in the January transfer window, went to Australia to ply his trade, and you look through their squad and you think a couple of years ago they were being talked up as potential playoff candidates. Not anymore. They are going down to League Two, and they're going down there without much of a fight as well, unfortunately, if you're a fan of Southend. But for us, we have to go there and be professional, and take the opportunity that arises to get another 3 points, because the massive carrot dangling at the end of 90 minutes come Tuesday night is the fact that we could be 4 points off the top 6, which would be a monumental effort. So let's have a quick look at the corresponding form of the two sides. Last 6, Southend have won 2, which is probably a massive improvement in terms of their form overall this season, but lost the other 4, so they've got 6 points from 18 overall. Gills still unbeaten, 3 draws and 3 wins from the last 6, taken 12 points from 18 available. At home, Southend, 1 solitary win, 3 draws, 2 defeats. So 6 points from 18 again at Roots Hall over the last half dozen fixtures. Gills on the road, it was 5 draws before last Tuesday's last gasp winner at Blackpool. So yeah, that's 8 points from 18 available. But generally in them games we've bossed them and probably should have won a couple more. So I think if we can go to Roots Hall and execute our game plans correctly, make sure that each individual wins their battles, collectively do our jobs, then I think we've got a great chance. Like I've already mentioned, Southend squad's been absolutely decimated. You look through it now and it's unrecognisable from a year, 18 months ago. They've got kids being drafted in. I saw a comment on Twitter today. I follow Chris Phillips, who works for the Southend Echo or some sort of local newspaper, and said that, I think it's the lad Coker, I can't think of his Christian name, so forgive me, but he's allowed to train with the first team this week because of the fact that it's half term at school. So he can't train full time because he's still a pupil at school. That's indicating the sort of age of the players that they're having to draft into the first team squad, such as the lack of numbers, the lack of options, the lack of quality are probably as well. 2 clean sheets this season. That sums it up. 78 conceded. You don't need to say too much more. In terms of Gills, like I've said, if we win, we go 4 points off the playoffs, probably jump to 9th. And ironically, considering how people have said that our away form, despite not losing many, has not been good enough, in the fact that we've only won twice at Accrington and Blackpool recently. oddly enough, if we win by 1 goal tomorrow night, we jump to 6th in the away form table for the whole season. So maybe it's not as bad as we've envisaged so much, because there have been lots of draws, very few defeats. But obviously, if we'd managed to convert a couple of them draws into wins, we'd be banging down the door in terms of the playoffs at the moment, rather than just keeping it ajar. But in terms of team news for tomorrow, no Mark Byrne, we know that. I say that every week. Hopefully that Alfie Jones, they're hopeful that Alfie Jones will be in contention. They're going to see how he reacts in training today, Monday. So hopefully we've got everyone available for selection. So based on that, my team for Southend away would be Jack Bonham in goal, Barry Fuller, Max Amar, Jack Tucker and Connor Ogilvie as a back four. I would take out Tom O'Connor this Tuesday, just give him a rest. He's played a lot of football, still a youngster. Probably didn't have his best game Saturday afternoon. Did a lot right, but was a little bit sloppy, I thought, in possession. I won't say wrong, but plenty of time he wasted possession. Just looked a bit leggy. I was quite surprised he stayed on, but maybe we had to take Stuart O'Keefe off instead, because it had to be one or the other, I'd imagine. And Stuart O'Keefe's just come back from an injury problem himself. But yeah, take Tom O'Connor out. That's no detriment to him. He's been very good for us this season, but we do have a small squad. So if we can just freshen it up with 1 or 2 changes every week, then it keeps everyone on their toes for one, and it gives people a well-earned rest. So I would go Stuart O'Keefe from the base of the diamond. I would bring Matty Willock in for Tom O'Connor and play him from the right-hand side. Ben Pringle retains his place for me on the left-hand side. Jordan Roberts can stay in the 10 after his second half performance at the weekend. I wasn't sure about it, to be quite honest. I thought with the likes of Ollie Lee and Regan Charles Cook on the bench, maybe Ollie Lee was still suffering, but I thought Regan could have got a start as he's an orthodox attacking midfielder. But Jordan Roberts probably keeps himself in the side based on his second half performance. And I'd have him in behind John Akindi and Brandon Hanlon. Again, I thought Brandon was bright at the weekend. Said first half, I thought he was probably the best of our attacking 3 players. Constantly got him behind, gave Cameron John an absolute torrid time. John Akindi, nothing really came off for him, but he occupies defenders. It became very apparent that Doncaster were putting 2 on him, and that suddenly allowed space for the likes of Brandon and Jordan to run into. It created space for Jordan Graham when he came on second period. So that would still be my front 2. The bench then would be Joe Walsh, Alfie Jones, Thomas O'Connor, Ollie Lee, Regan Charles Cook, Jordan Graham and Mika Mandron. Score prediction time. I'm going to go for a final score of, based on the fact that we're 13 games unbeaten. We've come from behind twice in a week to win. We've not lost any game of any description for ages. We've picked up a vital away win last Tuesday. Southend can't defend for toffee. So I'm going to go for a final score of Southend United 1, Gillingham 3. Please don't let me down, boys. Please don't let this be the game that ruins the unbeaten run. My goal scorers are going to be John Akindi, Brandon Hanlon and Ben Pringle. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me rabbit on about the Gills again. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. You know where we are on all 4 social media platforms. That is Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. I think myself and Stocky are watching the Southend game tomorrow night on iFollow. Unfortunately, we won't be making the trip to Roots Hall. Myself and Boz's next away fixture is Sunderland. We are making the huge trek to Stadium of Light on the 7th of March, which we are looking forward to. We'll be back Thursday, hopefully myself and Boz, with a look back at Southend and a look ahead to Saturday's game when we travel to John Akindi's former side, Lincoln City. Until next time though, enjoy your Monday evening, enjoy your week and up the Gills.